Yeah.
Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. Well, here we are, guys. It is finally playoff prediction time. We've completed our game-by-game predictions for every single Power 5 team. We've gone through and done the conference recaps for all of the Group of 5 conferences, and now we are here about to reveal who we believe will be in the college football playoff going into 2021, and then, of course, we will share with you our New Year's Six bowl projections as well, the remaining 4 New Year's Six bowl games outside of the college football playoff. And if you have been following our game-by-game predictions, if you followed our predictions over the last few months now, you probably have a pretty good idea of who's going to be in the playoff. At least in our eyes. You have a pretty good idea of that. Based on who we have winning each individual conference, based on who they have them losing to. And guys, I really feel that this year in the playoff is going to be relatively cut and dry. It's been a long time since I really feel like we've had some drama. I think it's been a while since we've really wondered who was going to get that last spot, who was maybe going to get those last 2 spots. I don't think you're going to see much drama again in 2021. I think pretty much for the most part, there will be very little competition and very little debate for who the Final 4 teams will be when Selection Sunday rolls around in December. So we're going to go ahead and show you our playoff predictions right now here from the Gridiron Expert based on our season predictions. And you take a look, guys, it's the usual suspects. In the Cotton Bowl, we have Alabama taking on Oklahoma. And over in the Orange Bowl, we have Clemson taking on Ohio State. Obviously, we have seen both of these programs, or all 4 of these programs, I should say, meet each other a handful of times in the playoffs. Clemson and Ohio State more so than Alabama and Oklahoma. But these 4 teams have repeatedly made the Final 4. Year in and year out. Year in and year out, we are constantly seeing Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, and Oklahoma in playoff contention. Now, obviously, Oklahoma did not make the playoff last year, but the other 3 did. Clemson and Ohio State faced off, the Buckeyes getting the best of the Tigers, and then going on to play Alabama in the national championship, which the Crimson Tide won. A couple of years ago, we did see Alabama take down Oklahoma back when the Sooners had Kyler Murray. Alabama won that game. Made it to the national championship. And obviously, you look at all of these 4 teams, guys. I mean, I don't really know how you can, say they won't be able to make it in. I mean, we've gone through the predictions. And obviously, each has a path out as easily as they have it in. We have, Alabama going undefeated in the regular season and taking on Georgia in the SEC championship game. And if they were to fall to the Bulldogs, you most likely would see Alabama and Georgia get in, which means that one of these other 3 teams would be left out, most likely. So that's $1 million question here. What would happen in the scenario that maybe Alabama goes unbeaten, falls to Georgia? Alabama and Georgia are both 1-loss teams. There's no way both teams are getting left out of the playoff, especially the SEC champion would not. Clemson, I believe, has the easiest path to the college football playoff. If they can get by Georgia, they're pretty much set. We have the Tigers beating Georgia in the season opener. And of course, the ACC, the rest of their schedule is so weak, potentially up until the conference championship game where they may face a team like North Carolina, Miami. We believe it's the Tar Heels. But they win that, they're in. I believe Clemson certainly has the easiest path to the college football playoff this year. Ohio State, not an easy path by any means. Non-conference game against Oregon. Of course, the road game at Indiana. And just the Big Ten as a whole improving. The Buckeyes are not necessarily a shoe-in, but they are the kings of the Big Ten. And they are the kings of the conference and kings of the East until proven otherwise. And I'm not sure there's a team in there that could, although we should note that we have Wisconsin, the Badgers, going undefeated, meaning that Ohio State and Wisconsin could be in a similar situation to Alabama and Georgia, a battle of unbeatens, maybe an unbeaten versus a 1-loss team. If Wisconsin were to somehow upset Ohio State, you could make the case for 2 Big Ten teams possibly getting in, or the Buckeyes falling out and the Badgers getting in. Wisconsin, we're not doing our 5th and 6th team rankings, but if we were, would probably be at 5th, probably at 6, honestly, for us by the time the season ends. Then Oklahoma, a relatively easy schedule for the Sooners with the exception of, I would say, a big game against Texas and obviously the big game at Iowa State. And they are probably going to have to get by Iowa State twice if they want to get into the college football playoff. And the regular season matchup for the Sooners that comes in Norman And then if they were to face Iowa State again in the Big 12 championship game, which we believe that they will, they would need to beat the Cyclones there. If they do not, you can easily see Iowa State in the college football playoff because we do have the Cyclones at 11-1 on the year in the regular season. So again, guys, these are your 4 teams. These are our 4 teams, and maybe the rankings get switched around a little bit, but these are the 4 teams we believe make the playoff, but it could just as easily be so different. You could see a team like Georgia in there. You could see a team like Wisconsin, Iowa State. You've got sleeper teams like North Carolina. A&M, Texas A&M were to somehow upset Alabama, they can make a run. If Oregon exceeds expectations and doesn't slip up a handful of times, they can make a case. So many teams are in the running right now, but we've got these 4 usual suspects making our Final Four. And I will tell you that we have Alabama defeating Oklahoma. We will have Clemson defeating Ohio State. We will have Alabama winning the national championship in 2021, repeating for the first time in, I believe, nearly 10 years. So that is our college football playoff prediction, guys, for 2021. We'll take a look at the rest of the New Year's 6 bowl games real quick. And as you can see, these are kind of your typical matchups that you're seeing almost everywhere. I wouldn't say at every publication. I wouldn't say every analyst. But these are just kind of, everybody kind of has the same idea of what each team is going to do. We know these 4 teams in the playoff are going to do well, and we know that these 8 teams that we have projected in these New Year's 6 bowl games are going to do very well too. It's just a matter of, do they exceed expectations? Do they fall just short? Are we going to see really any big shakeups? The Rose Bowl, guys, obviously a Big Ten, Pac-12 tie-in. So the Big Ten champion would take on the Pac-12 champion, unless, of course, they're going to the college football playoff. In this case, we believe Ohio State goes to the playoff, so Wisconsin, the Big Ten runner-up, would go to the Rose Bowl, and they would take on our Pac-12 champion in Oregon. We don't think the Ducks have enough to get to the playoff this year, but we do think they will win yet another Pac-12 championship. So Wisconsin and Oregon in the Rose Bowl. The Sugar Bowl is an SEC Big 12 tie-in game. We have the SEC runner-up in Georgia taking on the Big 12 runner-up in Iowa State. Like we just mentioned, one of those teams wins in their conference championship game, assuming that they do like we think they will in our predictions. Georgia could be in the playoff. Iowa State could be in the playoff. One game, guys, can change everything. But right now, we believe these 2 teams will meet in New Orleans in the Sugar Bowl. Very intriguing matchup there, too. The Peach and Fiesta Bowl, guys, are both at-larges. So those 4 teams that meet in those 2 bowl games, those are all at-large teams that the committee just kind of decides on. Obviously, one of them will be the highest-ranked Group of 5 conference champion. We believe that will be Cincinnati. We have the Bearcats going 11-1 in the regular season, winning the American Athletic Conference again. And while we do have a team like Coastal Carolina going unbeaten, winning the Sun Belt, going a perfect 13-0. When you look at the strength of schedule, Cincinnati is going to have that way more than Coastal Carolina will. The American Athletic, much more difficult than the Sun Belt. Tack on that we believe Cincinnati gets a quality win at Notre Dame, and the Bearcats will be the highest-ranked Group of 5 champion. We have them taking on Texas A&M, who we have going 10-2 on the years. The Aggies made the Orange Bowl last year, took down North Carolina. We have them going back to a New Year's 6 bowl game under Jimbo Fisher, taking on Cincinnati. The Peach Bowl will be LSU versus North Carolina. We have the Tigers having a major bounce-back year under Ed Ogeron, going 10-2. Same can be said for North Carolina. We have the Tar Heels going 10-2, falling to Clemson in the ACC championship game. That, to me, would be good enough to get them into the Peach Bowl. And, guys, you could make arguments for other teams, but here's the thing. Based on our predictions, the only other Power 5 teams we have with at least 10 wins are Utah and Arizona State, both out of the Pac-12. And we don't see either of them getting the nod and getting the opportunity to make a New Year's 6 bowl game. I believe LSU and Texas A&M are good enough to get in there, but obviously strength of schedule from the SEC. North Carolina being the ACC runner-up, they absolutely deserve it. And then you've got Cincinnati, obviously, being the Group of 5 champion. That's the highest ranked out of all of them. So you could make the case for someone else, but I think these are I believe these are the 8 teams, and especially the at-large teams I believe genuinely will get the nod in a New Year's 6 bowl. Whether you think the matchups could be different, it's possible. I just don't see them doing a rematch from last year. I don't see Texas A&M taking on North Carolina again. I don't see LSU taking on another Group of 5 team after making the Fiesta Bowl a few years ago and playing UCF. So I think they want to see some difference. I think they want to see something very different, something that's going to bring in the ratings, something that certainly is going to work geographically, and that's how it all works here in these remaining New Year's Six bowl games. So there you have it, guys. A lot to unpack. Man, a lot to unpack. Those are your top 4 teams. That's who we have making the college football playoff. You know who we have in the Natty. You know who we have winning the Natty. What else would you expect? It's Nick Saban and the Tide. Our 4 other New Year's Six bowl games, these are the projected matchups for those. And let me tell you, if these come true, or at least a couple of these come true, we're going to be in for a treat. We are going to be in for some fantastic matchups in the 2021 postseason. But of course, guys, before we can get there, we have to play an entire college football season. A college football season that starts this week. A college football season that starts this Saturday with week 0. And we're going to have tons of week 0 content coming your way in the following days. And then after that, of course, tons of college football content for the regular season coming out every week, just like we've been doing for you guys each of the last 5 years. So do not miss out on that. And again, we cannot thank you all enough. Let's get this season underway. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at The Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Check out everything down in the description below. Again, sign up for our expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Our first picks come out in 2 days. 2 days our first picks come out, so do not miss out on those. The same can be said for PrizePicks. Use our link and promo code down in the description to sign up for those today. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on The Gridiron Expert.